In October of 1926, William Godette quietly retired from the St. Paul Fire Department. 4 decades earlier, he broke the color barrier in the city, becoming the capital city's first African-American firefighter. His brother Alfred also was a firefighter in the city. The Godettes accomplished much in their lives, but they could never have imagined what happened today. St. Paul honored the Godettes by naming the department's new headquarters after them. We want to spend a few minutes talking about William and Alfred and the fire department's other early firefighters of color. Here to help us do that is Al Boney. He's a St. Paul firefighter who led the effort to have the headquarters named after the Godettes. With us, too, are 2 of the granddaughters who spoke at today's ceremony. Annette McGee Wright, welcome. Also here with us is Frances McGee
Cromartie.
Thank you. Cromartie. Nice to meet you both. And then I'm going to start with you first. What kind of guy was your grandpa?
Based on the research that my mother did, and because you see, he was born in 1860, so of course I would not know that much about him.
Yes.
But he seems to be well-rounded. Not only was he a firefighter dedicated to service to this community for 41 years, he also was a hunter, a fisherman, a man about the community.
Did your family often talk about him in the family stories?
Stories. They would talk about his fairness, that people liked working under him. They knew even if you didn't like the decisions, they were always fair, and that he was someone who was courageous, and that his men didn't mind following him because he led by example.
Al, why did you pick up the cause to get this done?
You know, actually, it's just by accident. I basically stumbled onto a photograph that I'd never seen before, and I was in this room that I thought was a closet for years, but actually was a history room that had always been locked, and somehow I was able to get in there and literally stumbled on this picture and was fascinated by it, and so I started researching these gentlemen, and this whole story just kind of evolved from there.
And how long did it take you to get this from that discovery to today when you have a headquarters named?
Oh, about 1.5 years.
So relatively quickly.
Yeah.
Actually, we have some pictures. We like to show some folks, maybe this is a picture that you've been talking about. This is a picture of
William Godette and his crew in 1908 in Station 22.
Where is that located nowadays?
It's on Front and Matilda, and the building actually is still there. It's no longer a fire station now. It's a privately owned business, but it's still there. So.
Okay. This is an all African-American firehouse, I understand?
Yes, it was. Mm-hmm. And part of the way we were able to determine some of this, our mother was an amateur genealogist who did plenty of research through the census records, pictures, newspaper articles, and so she was able to...
She collected information, and she died about 22 years ago, so we're going through the information, so we're learning too. So it's really kind of interesting. It says something for people who are collectors of history, that you have to do something with it. Just don't leave it around, because there's probably more people who need to be uncovered too.
Well, these were segregated units.
Yes, from 1885, which is when William Godette was hired, until 1943 the department was segregated. They could only work at either Station 22 at that time, and then later on Station 9, and so they weren't allowed to work at the other stations throughout the city.
Did the African-American firefighters fight different fires, or did they all go out with everybody and fight fires?
There are some records that say, or some accounts that William had mentioned that he had been to every major fire during his tenure on the department, and then there's also some more information that they would usually go to all of the fires that the rest of the city didn't want to go to, like the bog fires or dump fires that they would have back in the day, which sometimes would burn for days, and there's usually dirty work that nobody else wanted to do. So.
And that was in the family records too?
Right, and in the newspaper records. We have old newspaper records which showed that our great-grandfather went to one fire. He started at 9 o'clock in the morning one day and didn't come back till 3 o'clock the next day. Or, his courage was known because my sister talked about it today, about how he, turned a valve off under a oil car that was spewing oil, and nobody else wanted to go under it, and he did.
Wow.
How was today's ceremony? Tell us a little bit how you felt about it, how it went.
Well, it was a day that was of much pleasure for us, and we were very, very proud to be here and have the opportunity to share this experience and share some of the stories that we knew. And we really felt that our mother's presence was here. In fact, my sister has a part of her with some of the jewelry and all like that she is wearing.
My grandmother's necklace, my mother's earrings, and my great-grandmother's ring. So they're all here.
Oh, they were definitely with you. Definitely.
Yeah.
I wonder what William would have thought. And Alfred, for that matter. I always kind of think about that, don't you?
Yeah. I think from what we've read, he would have been a little embarrassed because he was, I think, doing his job. And that's what he was sent to do and lead by example. So I think he'd be a little embarrassed, he'd be proud, but we look at it that there may be some little boy or little girl who hears their story and says, I could do that, or I want to be, he's my hero, I want to do this.
See, we're seeing a picture here on the screen. Which is Alfred on the right?
Yes.
Okay, and William's on the left.
Yes.
Okay, they are handsome men. They look very. They look like they'd be brave too, going into those fires in the old days. Say, Al, I want to ask you a question. The department struggled for many years with racism, and I understand that next Friday there's another event happening for retired firefighters who were never really given a proper send-off. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, next Friday, what we're having is a dinner for the retired firefighters, black firefighters, who in some cases have been gone for a decade or two. And so we're bringing them all back and basically just honoring them and kind of giving thanks. And so, you know, I've never done it before. And so it'll be really interesting to see everybody together. And, you know, I think it'll be a positive and it'll be a good night. So looking forward to it.
Excellent. Well, it sounded like it was a very interesting event today, and how we're just so pleased you joined us here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All the best. Thanks.
Thanks.